Court officer made black man wait outside, then froze as the judge silenced the room. The air outside the Clayton County Courthouse hung thick with late summer heat, the kind that clung to your skin and made every breath feel like a choice. Marcus Reed stood at the base of the worn stone steps, his cheap suit sticking to his back, a letter from his sister clutched in his hand. The ink had smudged where his thumb pressed too hard, but the words were burned into his mind. "They're trying to take the house, Marcus. You're our last shot." At 32, Marcus had seen enough of the world to know that shots for people like him, black, broke, and born in the wrong zip code, rarely hit their mark. But he'd driven 6 hours to this crumbling Georgia town to try anyway. The courthouse loomed above, its faded columns casting long shadows. Marcus glanced at his watch. 3:55 p.m. 5 minutes until the hearing that could save his family's home. The one his mother had paid off before cancer took her. He started up the steps, but a voice cut through the humid air like a blade. "Hold it right there." Officer Dale Hargrove stood in the doorway, his badge glinting under the sun. He was broad, mid-50s, with a face carved from years of unquestioned authority. His eyes flicked over Marcus' suit too big, shoes scuffed, skin too dark, and landed on a decision before Marcus could open his mouth. "Name and business," Hargrove said, hand resting on his belt. "Marcus Reed. I'm here for the 4 p.m. hearing. Reed versus Clayton County." Hargrove didn't move. "Paperwork." Marcus held out the letter, his jaw tight. Hargrove took it, barely glancing at the text, then handed it back. "Wait here." "Here?" Marcus's voice rose, sharp with disbelief. "The hearing's in 5 minutes. Inside's full. You wait till I say." Hargrove's tone was final, like a door slamming shut. Marcus felt the eyes before he saw a dozen or so locals gathered on the steps, watching. Some whispered, others stared openly, their faces a mix of pity and suspicion. A white woman in a sundress clutched her purse tighter. A man in a trucker hat muttered something Marcus couldn't hear but could guess. He wanted to scream, to shove past Hargrove and demand his place in that courtroom. But he knew better. Men like him didn't get to make scenes. Not here. Minutes dragged. For 05. For 10. Marcus's stomach knotted as he pictured the gavel falling. The house gone. His sister's kids sleeping in a shelter. He stepped forward again. "Sir, I'm begging you. This is my family's home." Hargrove's hand went to his radio. "Step back, son. Don't make this worse." The word son hit Marcus like a slap, but before he could respond, a new voice broke through, a woman's, soft but steady, from the crowd. "Dale, let him in." Heads turned. A young white woman, maybe 25, stood at the edge of the steps, her sneakers dusty from the gravel lot. Her name was Sarah Wells, though Marcus didn't know it yet. She was a paralegal, new to town, who'd spent the morning filing papers for cases just like his. Her eyes met Hargrove's, unflinching. "This ain't your concern, Sarah," Hargrove said, but his voice wavered. "It's a public hearing," she shot back. "He's got a right to be there." The crowd murmured. Hargrove's face hardened, but he stepped aside, jerking his head toward the door. "Go on, then." Marcus didn't hesitate. He bolted inside, heart pounding, Sarah's footsteps echoing behind him. The courtroom was packed, the air stale with too many bodies. He slid into a back row just as the judge, a black woman with silver hair and a no-nonsense stare, banged her gavel. "Order!" Judge Harris's voice filled the room. "Mr. Reed, I presume?" Marcus stood, breathless. "Yes, ma'am." "You're late. Explain." The words caught in his throat. He glanced at Hargrove, now lurking by the door, then back at the judge. "I was held up outside, Your Honor." A ripple of whispers spread. Judge Harris leaned forward, her gaze locking onto Hargrove. Held up how? Marcus hesitated, the weight of every eye in the room pressing down. He could lie, let it go, keep the peace. But then he thought of his mother, of the house she'd built, of the kids who deserved better than this town's small mercies. Officer Hargrove wouldn't let me in, he said, voice steady now. Told me to wait outside, no reason given. The room went silent. Hargrove shifted, his face paling. Judge Harris's expression was unreadable, but her next words cut like glass. Officer Hargrove approached the bench. The crowd held its breath as Hargrove walked forward, each step heavier than the last. Judge Harris didn't raise her voice, but every syllable carried. This court does not tolerate obstruction of justice. You will explain yourself, or you will face contempt. Hargrove stammered. It was crowded, Your Honor. Crowded. Harris cut him off. Or did you decide who belongs in my courtroom based on what you saw? She gestured to Marcus, then to the crowd. This isn't 1963. You don't get to play gatekeeper. The room froze. Marcus's heart thudded as he watched Hargrove shrink under the judge's stare. Then, a twist no one saw coming, Sarah Wells stood again, her voice shaking but clear. Your Honor, I saw it. I was outside. Officer Hargrove singled him out. A gasp rose from the crowd. Hargrove's eyes darted to Sarah, betrayal flashing across his face. Judge Harris nodded, her gaze softening for a moment. Thank you, Ms. Wells. Your statement is noted. The hearing moved forward. Marcus presented his case, his voice growing stronger as he spoke of his mother's sacrifice, the predatory loan that nearly took their home, and the county's refusal to listen. Judge Harris ruled in his favor, ordering the foreclosure halted. The crowd erupted, some cheering, others grumbling, but Marcus barely heard them. He sank into his seat, relief flooding through him like cool water. As he left the courtroom, Sarah caught up to him. I'm sorry you had to go through that, she said quietly. Why'd you speak up? Marcus asked, studying her. You didn't have to. She shrugged, eyes distant. My dad was like Hargrove once. I promised myself I'd never stay quiet. Marcus nodded, a quiet understanding passing between them. Outside, the crowd had thinned, but Hargrove stood by his car, his badge catching the last light. He didn't meet Marcus's gaze. Driving home, Marcus felt the weight of the day settle into his bones, not just the victory, but the cost. He'd won the house, but the memory of those steps, of Hargrove's eyes, would linger. He thought of Sarah, a stranger who'd shifted the tide, and of Judge Harris, who'd held the line. Justice had come, but it was fragile, hard-won, and never guaranteed. What would you do when faced with injustice? Stand by or step up or speak out?